Now, it is essential that every organization puts in place countermeasures against port scanning. How then would they decide on the strategy? I would say that it depends on the size and the budget of the organization as a major point to consider. Then you would want to consider the seriousness of a breach. Now, what loss could a breach cost, and assess a trade-off between the cost of breach versus the cost of countermeasures. As a minimum, one needs to ensure that the software and hardware are configured and locked down properly. You have both paid appliances and free open source tools to do the same job. It is interesting to note that most of the organization's IDS devices are built around the best-in-class FOSS tools. So, you assess the tools that suit your environment best and implement a countermeasure. Whatever firewalls you choose, they should be good enough to observe the probes and identify if they are meant for scanning purposes. It is not an easy thing, but we have firewalls to help us do that. The firewall should also be able to look at stateful inspection by applying the predefined rule set.
Okay, let us now look at some of the steps that you can initiate to put in place the countermeasures. So to start with, configure firewall and IDS rules to detect and block probes, and then ensure that sensitive information is hidden from public view. Ensure that the mechanisms used for routing and filtering at the routers and firewalls respectively cannot be passed using particular source ports or source routing methods. Ensure that the router, IDS, and firewall firmware are updated to their latest releases. Use a custom rule set to lock down the network and block unwanted ports at the firewall. Filter all ICMP messages, that is, all inbound ICMP message types and outbound ICMP message types, the three unreachable messages at the firewalls and routers. Perform TCP and UDP scanning along with ICMP probes against your organization's IP address space, really to check the network configuration and the available ports. Ensure that the anti-scanning and anti-spoofing rules are configured. The firewall should be good enough to detect probes an attacker sends to the scan or to scan the network. Now, some firewalls do a better job than others in detecting stealth scans. Just remember that. Many firewalls have specific options to detect SYN scans, while others completely ignore thin scans. So make sure the right combination of firewalls are in place.